What I'm going to try to do is share some insights of the Reverend Leon H. Elmaleh from a personal perspective of a man who was a pastor and for those who had been congregants. Let me first share a few visuals. This is a visual of a wedding ceremony that was performed on Sunday afternoon, November 25th, 1923 at 1 o'clock. It was at 529 South 3rd Street in Philadelphia. And this is by Mr. and Mrs. Yuda Saragosi. That would have been my mother's mother and father, and Mr. and Mrs. Bahar Levy, which would have been my father's brother. Now I'm thinking, Yuda Saragosi, request the honor of the presence of the marriage of their daughter and brother, Esther Saragosi to Victor Levy, and the bride's residence on the bottom is noted at 1469 Fifth Avenue, New York. So, mother came over, worked out in one of the shops that made some of the garments that was on the Lower East Side. My father came over with his mother. When they came over, they were really on steerage, or if there was something below steerage, they were below steerage. My father's mother, Nehemiah, she contracted some kind of a water poisoning or something because as soon as she arrived in these States, she passed on and buried at 55th and Market Street. But my father's brothers located his wife. So she lived in New York, they came to Philadelphia, and my father got married, and Leon H. Elmaleh did the wedding ceremony here at 529 South 3rd Street. So I still have the wedding invitation to their wedding. Wow. Now we further travel along. I don't have to applaud because
beautiful.
I'm here.
No, where would you find such a
I'm here. To prove that I was here, 69 years ago, Leon H. Elmaleh came to my home. And this is a picture with me and the Reverend Leon Elmaleh at my bar mitzvah. Now, what was my bar mitzvah? My bar mitzvah was on a Shabbat Saturday, Shabbat Imor, and the little party was Sunday at my home. That was the bar mitzvah party. Why do I know that? Because it was Frank Soda. If you remember Frank Soda, the big bottle of Frank Soda, it was the best. So that was my bar mitzvah party. I think I must have had about 5 envelopes of $5 each, so we hit the jackpot. And this is the picture. In fact, my children were very fortunate to have this picture made into an oil painting, which very proudly serves in my home. So as a child, I remember Rabbi Elmaleh very well. I think I started coming to Mikveh Israel, I guess it might have been either the late 30s or early 40s. So I could know that I'm here at least 70 years, maybe a little longer, maybe 75. But how I remember Leon H. Elmaleh, because we lived on a small street called Gaskell Street, which is between Lombard and South. And it was very common for Reverend Elmaleh to do pastoral duties and come to visit congregants. At that time, the Levantine Jews, those that came over from Turkey, that came over from Greece, formed a little group called the Levantine Jewish Society, of which Leon Elmaleh was their mentor. He also coincidentally spoke Ladino. So when he spoke Spanish to them and spoke Ladino, he had their ear, and they would have something what they call cafe with a little raki. Cafe would be the demi-tasse coffee. Raki would be the the Turkish, sometimes known as Arak, but it was but this difference between the difference, this was homemade. So theirs would be there. So that Levantine Jewish Society evolved around Leon H. Elmaleh. In Broad and York Street, which was the Kehillah that we all congregated to, there was one little section. I guess it was known as either the poor section or the free section or whatever section it was. As soon as you came into the door, it was the section right on the right, and that's where they sat, and that's where they conversed in Spanish to Reverend Elmaleh. And the fact of the matter is that the $5 donation in those days was an awful lot of money. So further with Leon Elmaleh, when I was a little boy, I knew it was Rabbi Elmaleh, and except I called it O'Malley. So when I was going to school, I said, you'll never get. I had a rabbi, his name's O'Malley. So the fact of the matter is that when you stop and think about it, as a child, I thought maybe he was from Ireland or something. So the fact is that it took me a while until I got the word Elmaleh. So that is a beautiful, and of course, there's some very fond memories, and somebody help me. Is Anita Bernstein still here? There she is. We went to the Broadwood for a birthday. Was that his 75th, 80th, 85? Well, anybody remember? Was the Broadwood Hotel, the women's group, or the Mikveh Israel Association made a party. That party was something to celebrate his birthday. And he also celebrated the completion of his book. The book being the cemetery at Spruce Street Cemetery, which he made it a lifetime passion to do the historic research on that. When you look at Rabbi Elmaleh and his portrait, for those who are old enough to remember Monty Woolley, that was Monty Woolley. And except if you saw him in his garb, his clothes, he always either wore a bow tie, but if he was doing his pastoral work during the week, he wore a cleric collar. So you would wonder where that collar came from. It was a cleric collar, which was like as you would see a priestly collar today. Well, there was no tie, but it was just a pure white collar that covered his dark or dark gray suit. As a child, I remember saying to him one day, what do I do with my yarmulkes? No yarmulke. It's kippot, or a hat. So the fact of the matter is that the yarmulke was strictly Ashkenazic. The kippot was strictly on the Sephardic side, and the hat was strictly a Sephardic side. And I just have nothing but the fondest memories. So my treasure is my beautiful picture that I have with him. There are a few of us that go back to long praying with him. He had a beautiful baritone, deep baritone voice. He was small in stature, but very, very elegant in his reception by all who knew him. I remember that picture hanging in his home. I remember that picture with Joe and Miriam at their home. It is a very, very outstanding artist rendering of the person. So when you see that picture, you've got the exact replica of what he was like. He was small in stature, but very, very big. So that's all my remarks that I could say. If anybody has anything else they want to add, certainly. Josie.